Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I got a couple updates and stories on both with our junior hockey team and our cross team, both with the Calgary Hitmen and the Calgary Roughnecks. Of course, we're in the year two of 2 weeks of flattening the curve with this BS going with COVID-19 and the global pandemic. Well, it feels like we're going backwards, as in messing with my sporting events. Got some more postponements to talk about. However, at least with our junior hockey team, a couple games that have been postponed or actually been rescheduled. So before I get into talk about the couple stories at hand, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I also have my other social media links down in the description below, including getting onto my second channel and Brett Hornby Shorts. I also appreciate that you can subscribe on there, where I post my YouTube shorts, short form content on there. Kind of had to make a parody song about everything is postponed due to Omicron, and definitely is the case with all my Calgary sports teams. But the first big thing with the Calgary Hitmen is actually them and 15 teams. So basically, over half of the league in the Western Hockey League has had team activities postponed and suspended. So the Calgary Hitmen are one of the teams that have had their team activities suspended due to COVID, which is similar to what happened last year with the Calgary Hitmen. As a result, well, if you go back to a few other stories, and I think the last episode of my Calgary Hitmen in 6, well, there was already 3 games that were known that were postponed. The game that Calgary was supposed to host the Lethbridge Hurricanes on New Year's Day was postponed because the Lethbridge Hurricanes were the first team that had team activities suspended, postponed due to COVID. And then Calgary was supposed to go spend the weekend in Manitoba with the Brandon and Winnipeg and the Winnipeg Ice on January 7th and 8th. But those games got postponed due to the restrictions and attendance requirements in the province of Manitoba. But now with the games being suspended for the Calgary Hitmen during the team activities, a couple more games that got postponed was on Tuesday, January 11th, the Calgary Hitmen were scheduled to take on the Regina Pats in Regina. And on Wednesday, January 12th, the Calgary Hitmen were scheduled to take on the Moose Jaw Warriors in Moose Jaw. So in total, that is 5 games that the Calgary Hitmen have had games postponed. However, that's the one piece of the story. On the other hand, the WHL did announce that 8 of those 15 teams are scheduled to come back and resume team activities. However, the Calgary Hitmen is not one of those teams. I'll have the stories in the link in the description below. However, those couple games that the Calgary Hitmen had on the road in Saskatchewan, where they would take on the Regina Pats and the Moose Jaw Warriors, well, they rescheduled those games. So the game that Calgary originally was scheduled to take on the Regina Pats in Regina on Tuesday, January 11th, they moved that to the next Tuesday, on Tuesday, January 18th. And then the Moose Jaw game that was originally scheduled for Wednesday, January the 12th, that has been rescheduled to Wednesday, January the 19th. So at least 2 of the 5 games that the Calgary Hitmen have had games postponed have at least been rescheduled. So I guess they're assuming that at least the Calgary Hitmen will be back resuming team activities here soon, if they've at least rescheduled a couple of games. Still no word yet on the Lethbridge Hurricanes game that would be here in Calgary, and those 2 games in Manitoba with the Brandon and Winnipeg and the Winnipeg Ice. I would think, with some effort in with games being rescheduled, the Western Hockey League is hoping that they can get a full season in, as well finally have this thing called playoffs in the Memorial Cup, because keep in mind, the Memorial Cup actually has not been awarded since 2019. So yeah, the Calgary Hitmen, they eventually got affected, both with teams being shut down and then shut down itself. But at least there's some progress. That we announced that a couple games that have been postponed have been rescheduled and actually be played. So still, next 6 games for the Calgary Hitmen. I'll be back with the next episode of my Calgary Hitmen in 6, which I think I might have touched upon the last episodes that I did with both the Flames, the Hitmen, and the Roughnecks. I'm streamlining my recaps where I'm going to make less notes that I used to make on my Google Docs and read the summaries a lot more because A, I don't have 3-4 hours anymore to make the notes and script it out. And B, with all these games being postponed and rescheduled and that, it's already a mess as it is. So that is the story with the Calgary Hitmen. They are been postponed. Their team activities were shut down. I think the story that originally came out for the Calgary Hitmen was dated on January 7th. So that game, before they would have packed their bags to go to Manitoba, team activities would have been suspended. But it says a lot when 15 of the 22 teams have been shut down for this reason. And I know that after going with the IWHF World Junior Championships, I know there's only so much time you get back in the tournament. They're a lot more strict when it comes to how many players you can have being sick before games get, canceled and forfeited. And they were anticipating that the whole tournament would have been forfeited before the medal games, but they did kind of hint that maybe there would be a tournament later in the year for the case for their guys. And hopefully they do the same thing for their ladies. So yeah, that's just different compared to the NHL. So now when it comes to our lacrosse team, well, the Calgary Roughnecks, they've also had another game postponed. Already, they had the game which originally was scheduled on Thursday, December 30th, where the Calgary Roughnecks were scheduled to take on the Halifax Thunderbirds at home. And ultimately, that game got postponed due to the complications of travel and COVID. The National Lacrosse League, that whole week, although it was a very light week on the league schedule, all games got postponed for that. But then the last week in the National Lacrosse League, which I believe officially is week 6, well, the Calgary Roughnecks, they were scheduled to take on the Rochester Nighthawks in Rochester on Saturday, January the 8th. That game has been postponed. There's been no word yet on when the game is going to get rescheduled. Both of the Halifax Thunderbirds and the Calgary Roughnecks, but that was the only game in that week of the National Lacrosse League. That has been postponed. So yeah, the Calgary Roughnecks, they have had 2 games postponed. And still, as of this recording, we don't know when games will be rescheduled for, as I mentioned, the Roughnecks. Still got the 2 games that we know that will get rescheduled with the Calgary Hitmen. But the big team, the primary tenant, the primary team, the Calgary Flames, where they've had 10 games postponed because of their outbreak that they suffered in December. And with attendance restrictions, the Calgary Flames have 10 games that they have had postponed. No word yet when any of those games will be rescheduled. It's definitely going to be interesting. I know that a big bulk of those games that the Calgary Flames have had postponed, well, now that the NHL won't be going to the Olympics, that 3 weeks off that they'll have in February will be spent playing catch-up. And the NHL, I think, has almost literally 100 games in the league schedule that has been postponed. I don't know the exact number it is recording. And also the case here in Alberta, they still only allow half capacity for games in Calgary and Edmonton, no concession sales. But we don't know because, well, there hasn't been many games. There always only been a couple Hitmen games, and like both those Hitmen games that happened after Christmas before New Year's, they only had about 1,300 fans at the game. Combination of the fact that it was Christmas, it was literally blowout in the deep freeze. That would have hurt attendance a bit as well. But believe it or not, the Calgary Flames, they haven't had a home game where they actually played in the Saddledome in over a month. But yeah, this is more COVID BS, and things being postponed and messing with my sport events. And you have to think there should be a time when, this BS is going to end and let us move on with their lives that miss the days when a player was just sick with the flu or cold and doesn't shut the whole team down for 2 weeks or a month. But it is what it is. You just got to wonder, with the restrictions with these attendance where, you already need to be vaccinated just to go to the game. Now they're restricting that. You just got to wonder. But yeah, that's just an update about the Hitmen and the Roughnecks primarily with this video. And games be postponed. I meant to make this video, a few days ago, but this past weekend I felt like it didn't happen. I remember the part about leaving the office on Friday, and then suddenly I remember I was tired and lied down and barely had time to do my laundry. Next thing I know, it was Monday morning. So at least I get some videos. I do have a couple other videos that I plan to make to catch up on. Speaking of the Saladom and the Calgary Flames, well, I'm going to have to make a video talking about that and not sure if that new arena is going to happen or not. And then I got to make a video talking about Bo and the Calgary Stampeders. Hopefully I can get those out in the next couple days. But, when you work full time and only have so much time to make videos. But at least I got this video in as well. So that's all I have for both the Hitmen and the Roughnecks touch on the Flames. So anyways, I'd like to say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel where I recap games and stories and that. Just make sure you hit like, subscribe. But I also do a variety of non-sports content, keywords on when I have time, which doesn't seem to be much of these days. I do have personal vlogs, attempt to comedy, and do share experience on the road, a sport event, and do some vlogging to go. Took a little break from that, but I do plan to come back and take in some Chinook Blast here in Calgary later this winter, and maybe when the snow thaws, I might get back and do some other vlogging to go, which I have a few other ideas. But wrapping that all up, if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, each of you just make sure you like, subscribe. I have my other social links down in the description below for other ways you can follow me. And of course, I appreciate like, subscribe on my second channel in Brett Hornby Shorts, where I post exclusively my short form content on that channel and maybe repurpose some TikToks, or maybe the odd song like "Everything is Postponed." Everything is postponed due to Omicron. You can see that on my Shorts channel if you dare to watch. And it's a parody of Everything is Awesome and Everything is Cancelled from Tegan and Sarah. Both from here in Calgary and went to my high school, Crescent Heights High School. Go Cowboys. So if that all sounds like interest, watch to follow along this Calgary Sports Fans journey. So make sure you like, subscribe. Appreciate like, subscribe both here on my main channel as well as my second channel. So I just want to say thanks for watching. Hopefully things will get postponed and get rescheduled as opposed to canceled. And I'll see you in the next video.